This is Modern Persian Food,
a culinary podcast for today's food enthusiast.
We talk about classic Persian flavors,
modern recipes,
and embracing culture and identity through food.
I'm Bita.
And I'm also Bita.
Welcome to our show.
Hello everyone, Salam Hamigi. Welcome back to Modern Persian Food. Today we're diving into the irresistible world of Persian desserts, shirini, from saffron-laced sweets to rosewater scented pastries. When I think of shirini, I'm immediately transported to my younger self, a kid at a wedding or big party or event, where I'm standing next to the dessert table, which is overflowing with Persian cookies and pastries and sticky zulbia and my favorite nokhudchi, wondering if it would be socially acceptable to eat more than just one of each kind. In today's episode, we're going to cover the balance of crispy, syrupy, soft, and chewy sweets, regional specialties, and some of our favorite flavors and memories. Thank you for joining us. As always, I'm here with my podcast co-host, Bita Arabian. Hi, Bita Joon. Tell us, what do you think about when I mention Persian desserts?
I think about a memory of my grandmother that we lovingly would call Maman Do. She was like a second mom, and Do means two. And so Maman Do, standing in our kitchen on her extended visits, stirring up an aromatic pot of a special type of pancake called khagine. It's a recipe from Tabriz. Lots of eggs, a sweet pancake with the aroma of saffron, sugar, and sort of the trifecta of the Persian desserts, the rosewater, cardamom, saffron combo that just lightens up all my senses. And I think about her and her love that she had for all of us and the sweetness that she'd share in the little Persian pancakes that she'd make for us.
Beautiful. I love that. So special. It's really special that when we were able to have visitors from Iran, and especially if we have grandparents who were able to come and visit. You know, I didn't actually have my grandparents close by growing up, so it's always an area of my life where I kind of wish I was able to really embrace. So I would gravitate towards other people's grandparents. So I really love that memory of yours and having her in your kitchen. Very special. Thank you for sharing.
What does it stir up for you when you think about Persian desserts?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about desserts and shirini, I just love the concept of shirini. So not only are they the desserts that we have and we love, but the idea of sharing sweetness and sharing the joy when you receive joy. You know, we see them at all, the whole breadth of occasions, happy occasions, sad occasions. They'll have shirini at funerals, and they'll have shirini on your wedding display, sofre art. And also when you have a new experience, like a large purchase, like, you know, if you graduate or you get a new car, or buy a new home or get a baby or something like that, you always share shirini. And, you know, you're sharing the sweetness of that joy with other people. And sometimes jokingly, you can always say, oh, you got a new car, where's my shirini? You know, so you can always like have some sort of sweets or go get some ice cream or something like that to celebrate together. So I think the idea of shirini is more special to me, honestly, than the sweets itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big part of the Persian culture, and it's infused in everything, on almost every sofre in our traditional occasions. It's a big part of weddings. We have a honey ceremony and a sugar cube grinding thing that happens, raining sugar down on the bride and groom. And even just with tea, it's just enjoyed on many, many occasions and a really big part of our culture. And there's so many different kinds to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go over some of them. And you know, before we start, I just want to also say Persian sweets aren't always super, super sweet either. It's a little bit more subtle, and you have the flavors of the cardamom or the rosewater or saffron really kind of shining through. So it does make them unique in that way. But yes, definitely a bunch of different kinds. Let's start with like the pudding kind. So what comes to mind for me are like rice-based puddings or flour-based puddings. So let's talk about that. Give us a little intro to puddings as a Persian sweet.
Yeah, there's so many different ones. Shola zard is probably the biggest one that you may have seen or heard about or tasted, hopefully. And shola zard is a saffron rice pudding served at special occasions, tirgan, sometimes religious events. And I have tried to make it, but I wouldn't call myself an expert at making it. My mother-in-law makes it really, really well every time. Have you ever tried to make it?
I did actually try to make it one time several years ago. It's actually a fond memory that I look back on. It's when I was living in New York with my now husband, and we were doing like a pre-Persian New Year little party. We were actually celebrating Charshamba Suri. So we hosted people, and then out front, we actually built little fires, little clusters of candles that we would jump over for the pre-New Year celebration. And it's just such a special memory of mine how we did that in the middle of 6th Street in the East Village. And what I served for dessert that day was shonazad. But the thing I didn't necessarily realize is that it actually takes a long time to cook. So even though I made my shonazad and it's set in the pan dish that I had it, and I decorated it beautifully with cinnamon and slivered pistachios and almonds, it looked great. But unfortunately, when we went to go eat it, the rice was still a little crunchy. So I definitely learned that you need to let it cook a lot longer than you think. And it was a little bit of a food fail, but it's okay. I learned a lot, and I still had a good time and a really great memory to look back on. But yeah, definitely need to cook it longer than you think for shonazad.
Yeah. I've tried to get my mother-in-law to teach me many times. It seems super easy, but there is a trick. Whenever you have rice, there's like a whole balance of the water to rice ratio and how much stirring you should do or not stir. So I commend you for doing that for your friends and having that sweet memory. There's another rice pudding, sheer baranj, and it's really different. Sheer means milk, and so it's a creamy pudding, whereas sholazard is kind of, it's made with water, not cream or milk. And so sheer baranj is really delicious. It's got that same essence of a little bit of rosewater. And some people, my grandmother would put raisins in it. She would make that as a really comforting little dessert for us. I also have a memory of our younger daughter, Ava, when she was a baby, used to absolutely love farani. And her grandma, my mother-in-law, would make Persian rice custard for her as her baby food. And farani is made with rice flour, and it's really, really light and delicious. There's a similar dessert that she'd also get, this lucky baby, masrati. And masrati kind of looks like farani, but it's made with either cornstarch or wheat starch, rosewater and saffron, just a really light aromatic pudding. And it kind of is funny for me to think that we were feeding it to her as her first food. But hey, she loved it. So
yeah. Totally. And again, they are sweet, but hopefully the version that you guys were giving her had less sugar in it. And what's fun is that a bunch of those puddings are all, gluten-free for anyone who doesn't want to have any wheat. So that's pretty cool too, that you can have like Persian desserts that are gluten-free naturally.
True. We have a bunch of really decadent fried desserts.
Zulbia and bamia, some of my favorites. So zulbia is kind of like a funnel cake. If you have ever been to like a amusement park or have seen the funnel cake, where it's like a fried dough dessert. And the way that we do it in the Persian culture, in the Persian recipe, is that it is then drenched in syrup, in just like a sugar syrup. And it's super sticky and super sweet. The funnel cakes the zulbia are like just a few inches in diameter and flat. And they're super delicious. And they're always paired with bamia, which are these little balls of fried dough. And again, drenched in that, soaked in that syrup, the simple syrup. And it's super delicious. Those are like, I just envision like a big platter of them and a big, beautiful display of this beautiful decadent dessert.
Yes, it's very, very good with tea. In fact, that's the only way I think I can eat it is with tea.
Yeah, that one is super sweet.
There's another one that comes with a memory for me, and that is called noon panjari. And this is something my mom would make. Now, different than the memory I have of my simple, sweet grandmother, my mom was a little fancy and elegant. And so this dessert is just perfect for her. It's made with a rosette iron that you dip into the batter and then dip into oil. And what's inside these fancy little cookies? They're not really cookies. She called them cookies, but they're like fried, really light and airy, crispy, delicious dessert. And then they are coated with powdered sugar. And they're made with, again, wheat or corn starch and rose water. And they're just beautiful.
Yeah, noon panjari. So it's called the window cookie or window bread dessert. And it is super light and airy. And I think when the batter goes into the hot dough, it just like kind of like puffs up. It almost looks translucent. You can kind of see light through it. And I think maybe that's where the name comes from.
Yeah, maybe. And I actually heard that the shape of it looks like a beautiful Persian window.
Oh, wow. Pretty. Look at that.
There are a lot of cultures that have this type of rosette cookie and this special delicate dessert.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's so good. What about baklava? Some people, associate Persian food and baklava together.
Baklava is prevalent in so many cultures as well, from Greek to Turkish to, you name it. Many cultures claim baklava to be their own. I think that what distinguishes Persian baklava is that it's a little denser and it is maybe not quite as layered with the phyllo dough. It's still really delicious with the flavors that you would expect. And there's different ways to bake it.
Yeah, I love it. And it feels to me that like Persian baklava is more kind of stuffed versus the multiple layers. So it's like it has a middle section, a pretty dense middle section of chopped nuts where, other baklava it feels like there's more layering action.
Yeah, I made it once in a cooking class. It was a Greek menu and it was really delicious. But as we were making it, I thought to myself, where's the cardamom? Where's the rosewater? And that's kind of what distinguishes a Persian baklava as well, is it has our trifecta of flavors and sometimes a variety of nuts and pistachios, and it's really something special. You can make cake lava versions that are a bit simpler if you don't want to fuss with the phyllo dough. Baklava is really good with tea as well.
Delicious. Let's keep going. What about cookies? Cookies are definitely a part of the Persian dessert scene, and they're so small that you can just pop a whole bunch of them and get a little variety. My favorite Persian cookie is the nohochi, which is made from chickpea flour, and it's like you take a bite out of it or you just let it melt kind of on your tongue. And it's a little bit like grainy and powdery, which is kind of an interesting texture. I really love it. But yeah, that one's made from chickpea flour. And many of the cookies are made with kind of flour alternatives. So like chickpea flour, rice flour, and other types of nut flours.
Exactly. And like you mentioned, this is one of the desserts that are not too sweet. They're just light enough that you can have so many of them and really aromatic. With the rice flour cookies have a rosewater essence. The noon nochochi that you mentioned, the chickpea clover-shaped ones, have like a cardamom flavor. There's almond cookies, walnut cookies, and we have a whole episode dedicated just to Persian cookies.
Yeah, we definitely do. That's episode 74. I'll link it up in the show notes for everyone. And what I love about Persian cookies also is that it really takes just a few ingredients. They're so simple. I remember my auntie taught me how to make a very simple Persian tea cookies, and it was one of my first kind of Persian recipes on my website, BeatsEats, back in the day. And it only takes like 4 or 5 ingredients, super simple, that you can kind of whip them together. And it's something a little bit special and unique. So I encourage people to try to make it or pick some up at their favorite Persian market.
Yeah, simple ingredients, not too many ingredients, sometimes a specialty essence or flavor. And you can go as simple and humble as you want and use like just your thumb to make a shape and, use a spoon to decorate. Or you can get really fancy and use a cookie press. And, I've used like golden food dyes. So they're fun. I really enjoy Persian cookies as close to one of my favorite, but my all-time favorite is Persian ice cream.
Oh, Persian ice cream, bastani. Tell us about bastani.
Persian ice cream. Oh my gosh. Well, the sonati one, which is sort of the traditional bastani, it has chunks of frozen cream and rosewater and pistachios, and it's sometimes served with falude.
Yes, falude. Falude is like an icy dessert. It has rice noodles in it and garnish it with like lime juice or a little bit of tartness. And it's super delicious. I really like it. And you can, like you said, pair it with the bastani, with the ice cream. And they, I think, call that makhlout. So it's a little mix of both of them. And have you ever tried Persian ice cream float?
My mom sent a picture from a cafe of like a carrot juice float, and it was really interesting. And she said it's absolutely delicious. And the funny thing I remember about that picture is that it was this like conflict of interest because there was carrot juice, which you think is healthy, and then there was ice cream, and there was actually a cigarette on the table.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I actually hadn't heard the ice cream float, and yes, made with carrot juice. And I love carrot juice. So this is right up my alley. But yeah, people who like kind of grew up in Iran, maybe have experienced it a little bit more. But yeah, it's a float of we got a glass of carrot juice and a few scoops of the bastani Persian ice cream on top, and you got yourself a little special, refreshing summertime drink.
I love carrot juice, so I think I would love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I love carrot juice. I have really special memories of my dad. Before he passed away, he would always press carrot juice, like juice it for me. And I really always love that. I always love that.
Super fresh.
Super fresh, and you got to drink it right away before the color starts oxidizing. So I love that. I love that. But yes, carrot juice.
Your family's from Kermanshah. That's correct, right?
Yes. Yeah. My parents are from Kermanshah, and that lends us to, let's talk about some of the regional specialties. Kermanshah has a bunch of cookies. They have cookies like noon berenji or noon kharmei or noon shakari. And they also have this very special cookie called kaak. And it's a layered, flaky cookie that's like rolled sheets of thin, dry pastry with powdered sugar all in between it. And it's kind of rolled up and then sliced and placed very carefully in this like paper box from the bakery. And I just always remember, like, when I'm in Iran, I'm trying to just eat them as fast as I can because they are so good and so special. And they are a little bit hard to transport. So if you have someone coming from Iran and they want to bring, it is a little bit hard because it is very brittle. So it's great to enjoy it like fresh or like, as close to the source as possible. But I love kaak, and yeah, the Kermanshah has a lot of really special kind of cookies like that.
Delicious. Oh, you're so lucky that you still have family that can bring you back some of those special treats. And way back in the day, you've gotten to go there.
Yeah, I was born here in the States and I've been there a bunch of times. It's been a minute since I've gone last, but I have family there and we have communication and stuff. So it's really special.
Yeah. And you've gotten to taste it straight from the source.
Yeah, absolutely. Another Persian dessert that I've had straight from the source is actually, we want to move over to Rome, which is outside of Tehran, and they make sohan there. And they make sohan Rome. So the one from Rome is called sohan. There's also sohan from Isfahan. And the one from Isfahan is more like honey based with like almonds, and it's flat, and it kind of like once it hardens, it's kind of like caramelly. And the one from Rome is pretty cool because it's like a saffron brittle. And we went to like actually the bakery who was making it, the cookie maker who was making it. And I saw that the dough that they use is super soft, and they press the dough with like a flat metal press. And we saw them doing that right there. They put the pistachios on top and then press it. And then they put it in the little tin. And it's like a round, flat tin. They put like maybe like 3 or 4 layers of the sohan in it. And it's like the aroma of like, you can smell it like you know, a block away before you actually even go inside. It smells so good, that saffron and the caramel smell. And you go in there and they're doing it. And so he actually gave me a little piece of it while it was still warm and soft.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to go on a sohan tour.
Oh my God.
That sounds incredible. I have a cheat, which is nothing like that, but I do make a little sohan. Mine is more like a caramel or a brittle using butter or oil and saffron, but same thing. Those smells and flavors are incredible. And then I drizzle it on saltine crackers. And we have a listener who actually made it for Passover using matzah crackers.
Oh my God. Do you know how that turned out for her?
I need to circle back and find out.
Yeah. Oh my God. How creative. I love it. I love your like easy recipe because it combines the saltiness with the sweet, which I really like. And it has a little crunch to it. That is great. But the matzah cracker idea is such a great idea. I love that. I can't wait to hear more about it. We'll have to update everyone in our next episode.
We will. Well, this was super fun. If this has stirred up any memories or ideas for you, it makes you think of someone, please forward this episode on to a friend. It will show them that you were thinking about them, and the conversations and relationships and community that this podcast builds is really what keeps us going. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone, for listening today. As Joon said, please feel free to forward this episode along to a friend. We encourage you to try out a recipe or find some of these delicious sweets from your Persian retailers and serve them at your next event or summer gathering. Okay, everybody, until next time.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.